What up, YouTube? It's your boy Ghost. I'm coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm sitting out here. I got a 6 a.m. delivery tomorrow in where is it going to? In College Park. So I'm out here at the Petro. I've actually been on the East Coast for, I want to say, about 2 weeks now. I came out here to, run some reefer freight, see what the reefer lanes were like on this side of the world. And I mean, they're pretty solid for the most part, pretty solid. I can't complain. Thought I'd give y'all an update on everything I've been up to. Probably gonna drop a couple videos while I'm here waiting. I got paperwork to do. I gotta onboard another owner op. Because now I have after today, I'll officially have 3 owner ops that are either leased, well, 2 that are leased onto my company, and 1 that's running as a subcontractor. So I'm pretty excited about that. Well, actually, this will be the 2nd carrier that is subcontracting with my authority. And I'll make a video about how to, lease on owner ops to your authority, because there's 2 ways you can do it that works. The second way I found being the cheapest and the most affordable for me as the owner. I guess like the upfront cost, it's a lot cheaper versus the other way. And also, yeah, that's really about it. As for my company, I lost my FedEx account, I would say probably about 2 weeks ago now, because I had another driver get busted with marijuana, and it sucked because they were hauling a FedEx load, and it was a whole bunch of controversy behind it, a whole bunch of stuff. Just, for one, it was ignorant, it was stupid. So my biggest advice to anybody that drives, that wants to be an owner op, wants to own a fleet, make sure your drivers, you as a driver, and then just drivers period, they're drug free, because there's a lot of drivers out here that don't have your best interest. They're not for you or your company, and you can put them in a position to make money, and they will put you in a position to lose it all. So luckily this situation didn't go on my DOT, but it did cost me my FedEx contract, which was like my bread and butter. And it's the fact that when I had set up the contract, I basically had put in, what do you call it? I had put in my, what do you call that? I had to basically let them know what drivers were going to be on this run, what they were going to be doing. I also had to contact my insurance, because the co-driver that was there, or that was running with the person that was caught, she only had like 6 months experience, but she had 3 months, I think like 3.5 months when she had started with me. So my insurance, at first they weren't going to take her running solo, but they made an they gave her an exemption, saying that as long as she was in a truck with someone with more than 3 years of experience, she could continue to run, or she could continue to work for me. So I had to abide by those rules. And like they said, she can't drive solo, and she always has to be basically teaming until, well, they gave her like, I think like a year and a half. I gave her a long time, because my insurance is just strict like that. So that was that. Then I also had to send in their license and their and all that to FedEx, so FedEx could basically do what they needed to do on their end. So I did all that, and then to make a long story short, they picked the load up out of Bloomington, California, going to Ocala on a Tuesday, and it was due by 12 noon on Thursday, because it was expedited. So I guess it was like around 11:45, FedEx calls me, and they're like, this was 11:45 a.m. FedEx calls me, and they're like, hey, where's the truck at? It shows that it's still 100 miles out. What's going on? This load was due at 12. We need a reason why it's gonna be late. Like I told them, I don't know. I would find out and I would call you back, because they told me the truck had been stopped for like a good, like maybe 45 minutes to an hour, 100 miles out. Because I guess whatever they put in the trailer, they were tracking it. So they told me that. So when I called the driver that I thought was driving, he didn't pick up. His phone went straight to voicemail. So then I called the co-driver. She picks up, and she was talking to me about a problem that they had. The driver, we'll call him driver 1, had the night before. So driver 2, which was the female, she was driving. So I'm like, okay, well, I need an ETA so I can like let them know, and then I can plan accordingly, because I had already booked them a seafood load coming back to Cali that was picking up the next day. And I got to talking to her, and she's just talking about the situation that driver 1 had the night before, and talking about, basically, I thought, he was just gonna quit because of the situation, because he had gotten into like a big argument with like my best friend. So she was just talking to me about that, and then she was like, well, he'll tell you, and blah blah blah. Make a long story short, this whole time I'm unaware that he's not on the truck. I don't know what's going on, because she was beating around the bush. Then she finally came out and told me that he had got arrested, and he got arrested for possession of weed. And instantly I was just like, damn, for real, like this sucks. Like this really does suck. And I'm unaware of what's really going on, because they kept this from me. Anytime that something like that happens, somebody gets arrested, there's an accident, for you not to call the company, the owner, or whoever, your dispatcher, or all that, you got to hit them up like right then and there, like, hey, this just happened, blah blah blah. So then they can take the next necessary steps they need to take to do what they need to do. Hey, stop chewing on that. So they can do what they need to do, and they can move forward. But in this situation, she didn't say nothing. So then I found out she's driving by herself. I'm like, damn. So instantly I'm just sitting there thinking like, man, I pray to God that nothing happens, because if my insurance finds out that this woman got into an accident or something happened and she was by herself, that's big, it's huge. So going forward, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to terminate them. I'm gonna have to pull their contracts, because for one, he violated my drug and alcohol policy by having contraband on my truck. She basically was driving. I can't use her no more. And on top of that, I guess the cop said he smelled marijuana coming out of the cab, and she said she was unaware that it was on the truck. And it's kind of like, come on now, common sense. If somebody's smoking up here, you can smell it back there. I'm sorry, weed is strong. I was at the fuel island pumping, and this US Express truck pulls up next to me. Dude opens the door, and you could just smell the weed coming out of it. So it's like, come on now, common sense. But hey, what can I say? So I had to basically get rid of both of them. A whole bunch of mess happened with it because she felt some type of way. So I mean, we'll see what happens out of that. But as for FedEx, when I called them back, I told them I had to tell them the truth. You can't lie to these companies. And I told them my driver got arrested. I don't really know the full details, and then I'll let you guys know, what happened. So then they're like, well, we should have been notified as soon as it happened. And like I told them, I wasn't even notified either. And they're like, that's unacceptable. and they said we'll be contacting you tomorrow because we're gonna look into this too. They wanted to know the driver's name. So the next day, well, I think they called me 2 days later. 2 days later, they hit me up, and no, they had called me that Monday. Or was it Friday? It was either Friday or a Monday. They had called me, and they basically, I had to go to FedEx, and I had to sit down with FedEx, and they basically told me, like, you know, I went against their company policy because they found out the driver was arrested for possession. And the way FedEx looks at it is like this: if you got contraband, because basically the contract is set like this, you're basically subcontracted to haul FedEx freight. So now your truck, if they put a FedEx load into your trailer, that becomes FedEx's property. And the way they said it was like this: God forbid something was to have happened, if he was solo or whatever, if they both were smoking, the whole truck and trailer would have been impounded. And this is U.S. mail. Well, you know, it's mail. It's not like this is just, you know, cookies and pork and stuff like that. This is people's mail that they gotta pull into their facility. They gotta sort. They gotta send it off to make sure people get their next day air or whatever. However they have it set up, they gotta make sure that they get their mail by any means necessary. If that means they gotta send out another truck to go get this trailer, they need their mail. So basically, they told me they gotta pull my contract because the fact that they had marijuana, which is a contraband, and it's like a Schedule, I think 2 or 1 or 3 drug, and on a semi truck, and anything could have happened, and it's too big of a liability for FedEx to have those type of drivers, you know, hauling their freight. So they basically snatched up my contract, and I mean, I was hurt. I was pissed because, you know, at first they didn't even want to give me a shot because of the first weed situation. But, you know, my homeboy, my rep, you know, he you know, put his neck on the line and say, look, this carrier's good. This is just a mishap that happened with this driver. He'll make sure he makes on-time deliveries. He'll keep communication solid. And then that happens, you know. And then, you know, I get some drivers that brought contraband onto my truck. And my thing is like, you know, you got to protect not only your own CDL, but the equipment that you're in too. And it sucks that, you know, the co-driver, she could have been like, hey, nah, you don't bring that on this truck. If you're gonna smoke weed or do whatever you need to do, she should have been the adult, been the mature person, you know, the smart person in the situation. Because now not only has this man cut off the way you eat or the way he eats, but he also cut off the way that you eat. But nobody sees it like that. Because my thing is, if I'm running teams with somebody, I'm making sure, look, everybody is going to be walking a straight line. We ain't going to be doing nothing stupid that's going to not only render the way I eat and the way I feed my family, but the same with them too, because everybody has to work as a team. But it doesn't work like that in this, you know, trucking industry. That's what I'm realizing and dealing with people. So, you know, that's what I've been dealing with. That's how I lost the FedEx contract. I was hurt, but at the end of the day, the same way I got it, I can get another one. It just sucks that I've been dealing with ignorant people, and I mean, it is what it is. But other than that, I would say my first year of running my authority, I did really well to have, you know, just 2 trucks. I was able to make enough money that 2 trucks, what it takes 5 trucks to make, I was doing it with 2. But just put it like that. And everybody was eating. So, you know, I would say my first year overall, I had a good run. You know, year 2, I really put a lot of thought into year 2, and I'm gonna be making a whole lot of changes. So year 2 is gonna be like I'm gonna project better than year 1. Year 1, I stumbled. So year 2, I don't want to go into year 2 stumbling. So like I told myself, I came out east to get, you know, my mind off of everything that was going on. And and you know, at the same time visit family, friends, check on my dad, and you know, when I go back, I'm gonna have a solid plan, and you know, make year 2 worth it. So it's your boy Ghost. I don't want to make this video any longer. I hope you guys learned something from it. So love, peace, prosperity, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Deuces.